Steve Cotton joins us, financial strategist and president of Cotton Wealth Management Associates. Steve, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, good morning. It's a delight to be on your show.
Let's talk about some inflation numbers that have come out. I think latest number I saw was 2.7%, up or down?
Well, it's up. In May, it was about 2.4. It's ticked up 0.3% in June. But I don't think that's significant enough to be categorized as a trend quite yet.
No, it seems that you're talking about 0.3%, and I've been reading all these screaming scare headlines about this is tariff-driven inflation, et cetera. See, we told you, that kind of thing. And thinking, well, we just kind of got rolling here.
Well, it's really not true. There are over 70 countries that the Trump administration has not finished negotiating a new tariff agreement with. So it's premature to blame this minor uptick in inflation on the tariffs because they're not in place yet. However, the one that does bother me is the 50% tariff on copper that the president announced last week. We import about 50% of our copper in this country, and we can't surge our domestic supplies fast enough to take up that 50% that we need but don't produce. I don't see how that can't be anything but inflationary over time, and that's going to affect home building, defense products, everybody that uses copper.
Right, and how soon will we see that, or are we already seeing those price hikes?
Well, I think, again, he just announced that price hike, and if Chile negotiates a much lower tariff on us, that could go down. That's Trump's strategy, is to force these countries that have had it pretty fat at our expense for 20, 40 years to lower their tariffs and their non-tariff barriers to our products. If he can pull that off, all of that will be very disinflationary. And the other thing, the good news is energy costs are coming down. That permeates so much of what we produce in the economy. That's disinflationary. And that could counteract a lot of the tariff activity.
Steve Cotton is a financial strategist, president of Cotton Wealth Management Associates. Steve, hang on just a couple of seconds. A couple more questions for you, but we got to take a quick time out and get you updated.
All right, Brad, thank you. Back we go live to Steve Cotton, financial strategist and president of Cotton Wealth Management Associates. I wanted to talk to you about this real quick. Okay, it seems like we have two very different Americas right now, right? We have kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about tariffs and how they may impact our economy down the road in various ways. And then you have another, portion of the American public who is just driven by the headlines about the tariffs and we're going to die. How did we get here?
Well, most people are not that sophisticated when it comes to understanding economics, and that's certainly true of international economics, and I don't blame them. Some of these headlines are totally speculative. There is something interesting happening, though. The Federal Reserve just came out with a report this last week that speculated that some of the price increases that we are seeing is simple price gouging. I think Walmart, for example, that imports a lot of stuff from China, they've already engaged in price escalation ahead of the tariffs. So I think some of these companies are playing fast and loose with their economics, and they're raising prices in advance of a tariff impact, and that's just not fair for the American people.
When we look at tariffs, ultimately, what is the goal with them? The president has said that we're getting cheated by other countries. All right, operate with that in that ballpark. What is the goal? What will happen? What is the benefit for them, for us?
I think what President Trump is trying to do is to force these very high tariffs on our products and services down, and also to combat the non-tariff barriers to entry. I mean, a lot of these countries impose regulations and restrictions and limitations on who can come in and what can be sold in their country. Mm-hmm. The worst example I think I've ever seen is Japan, that imposes a 700% tariff on American rice. And they're trying to protect their Japanese rice farmers. I understand that. But that's a long way from fair. And if the president is even 70% or even 50% successful in forcing much more fair trade agreements with other countries and our trading partners, everybody wins.
You know, Steve, this is one of those moments. People look at President Trump. They're going to love him. They're going to hate him. But he got NATO to pay up, and now he may be getting other countries to allow us to get our products in there and get them to pay up to put their products with us. I mean, like him or hate him, he does seem to be accomplishing something economically.
Well, he negotiates like a New Yorker, I might say. He is full of bombast. Never forget, he is the consummate deal maker. He is always negotiating. When he says something, it's always with some sort of purpose in mind, and he's really pretty good at it. If you can negotiate construction contracts in New York City with the tough guys that he has to negotiate with
the mob,
you can do you can do a lot.
Steve Cotton, financial strategist, president of Cotton Wealth Management Associates. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.